Hey guys, it's Chris. From one-eyed sharks to creatures of legend and more. Join me as I reveal 8 creatures people thought were fake, but are actually real. Number 8. Platypus. There are many names for the platypus, or as some call it, nature's reject, although they are kinda cute, so that doesn't really seem like a fair name. But why do people call them that? Well, it literally looks like it was sewn together by a mad scientist, or as one cartoon depicted, God running out of ideas and just throwing something together. Which if you think about what a platypus is and what a platypus isn't, it kinda makes some sense. In fact, the first time a platypus was brought from Australia to Britain, people couldn't believe it was a real animal. Platypuses live in only one small area of the world. These creatures make their homes in the freshwater areas that flow through the island of Tasmania and the eastern and southeastern coast of Australia. The platypus is without a doubt a creature that boggles the minds of scientists. When they were discovered in the wild, the scientists that found it thought it wasn't really real. It must have been a hoax put on by someone. Yet they are real, and they're strange. They have a beak and webbed feet of a duck, the body of an otter, the tail of a beaver, and they have toxic stingers in their heels. I bet you didn't know that last fact. Or maybe you did if you watch a lot of YouTube. But platypuses have a spur on the back of their hind feet connected to a gland that secretes venom. The venom's not life-threatening to humans, but it can cause severe swelling and excruciating pain. Just don't grab a male and you should probably be fine. It's also one of only 2 mammals to lay eggs. There are a lot of strange creatures in our world, but very few rival the sheer oddity that a platypus is. Which is why many people not only study it, but look upon it with curiosity to see what evolutionary events led to this creature being born. Number 7. The devil bird. There are many creatures of folklore and mythology that many people believe in one form or another, even though the vast majority of them are too fantastical to be real. In Sri Lanka, one of their most popular tales of a cryptid is the devil bird. The devil bird is said to have a unique look to it, and when it unleashes its scream, it doesn't sound like a loud bird sound, but rather a human sound. Some even claim that it sounds like the high-pitched scream of a human, and if you were to hear that scream, it means that death is near. The legend of the devil bird goes that a mother bore witness to the brutal death of her son at the hands of her husband. Unable to bear the sight of it, she fled into the Sri Lankan jungle and collapsed, and before collapsing, let out a blood-curdling scream. This made the spirits of the forest angry, and they turned her into the devil bird as a result. Ever since, and for 1,000 years, people who go into the forest claim to hear that blood-curdling scream from a bird. Eventually, research into the subject revealed a species of owl living in the Sri Lankan jungles, known as the spot-bellied eagle owl. Physically, the creature matched up with all the drawings of the devil bird, and the cries from the owl were said to have a very human-like quality. Only a few true recordings of it exist though, which makes some people wonder if the devil bird really is this owl or not. Number 6. Blob Fish. The blob fish is actually a very unique specimen when it comes to the world we live in. For you see, the blobfish are a species that lives in incredibly deep waters within the oceans and are used to living in places with incredible pressure. They live at depths at 3,900 feet below the surface of the Tasman Sea and have been found off the coast of New Zealand. As Smithsonian Magazine says, blobfish belong to the fathead sculpin family, the piscine equivalent of the Addams family. Creepy and kooky, mysterious and spooky. So when they're not in those high-pressure areas, they actually transform in a way into a more jelly-like state, which is why it looks like a blob when it's on the surface. Yep, that's right. The form you're seeing now is not its true form, but rather its final form. Due to this, there are plenty of people who look upon the final form of the blobfish and think it's not real, because it just looks so strange and odd in that form. Just catching a blobfish is an incredible endeavor, as no blobfish has ever been caught alive, which is the same for most deep-sea fish. So even if you could catch one, you would have to keep it within a container that exerts the same pressure as the ocean, and then transfer it into a cage that has a similar pressure. While its final form is strange, you have to admit it's also strange that it would transform into this when put out of its proper pressures, further making people wonder how the blobfish and the numerous other creatures that live in depths of the ocean like the Mariana Trench survive there, but not on the surface. The blobfish was voted the ugliest animal of 2013. in a campaign run by the Ugly Animal Preservation Society, who were trying to decide on a new mascot. The campaign was set up to raise awareness for endangered and aesthetically challenged animals, to put it politely. Number 5. African unicorn. When European explorers began to take expeditions into Africa, they saw a creature that looked like a horse, but had a horn. A singular horn. To them, they thought that this was the unicorn of legend. Further adding to this speculation was that the unicorn was rare to be seen and only traveled with members of its pack. However, in the 1900s, a man named Sir Harvey Johnson was able to find and retrieve not only a pair of skulls from the so-called unicorns, but also their skin. It was here that the okapi were revealed to the rest of the world. Okapi are actually relatives of giraffes, and not horses or zebras like one might expect, though it does share traits of both, including fur on its legs that is very zebra-like. If you're curious about the horn that okapi have, it's actually an illusion, for an okapi actually has 2 horns. But when you look at one from the side, it looks like one horn. Okapi actually differ from unicorn legends in one major way. Most legends paint unicorns as sparkling white creatures, or sometimes even silver and gold depending on their age. Okapi are brown, black, and white, but likely the explorers focused on the horn aspect of the creature and nothing else. Just as weird, the okapi is now referred to as the African unicorn. Number 4. Colossal and giant squids. The Kraken is a legend that continues to thrive in the world despite many people believing that it was an exaggeration of a now known creature. For according to the legends, the Kraken is a squid of such size that it would dwarf and consume even massive vessels. But despite this story being born in a time of sailboats, there have been many modern-day accounts of the Kraken, including a testimony from a sailor from World War I and a Google Earth sighting near the Antarctic. But the real culprit for what the Kraken is and what the Kraken isn't is the colossal and giant squids. These amazing but also somewhat terrifying creatures live in various parts of the ocean, including near Antarctica and in the major oceans where sailors are known to have passed through. They even live in the depths of the Mariana Trench, showing their survivability in nearly all waters. The reason we believe that these 2 species are the legendary Kraken is because of their long tentacles and massive size. The largest known colossal squid to have been studied was only 15 feet long, but that's because they rarely are seen on the surface, and thus we can't get a true measure on them. For the giant squid, it's a similar case, but they're estimated to be about 43 feet in length at max. Furthermore, records and study of the 2 species of squid show that they could have battled against vessels in their own way. And given that these creatures weren't known about in the earliest days of sailing, they might have just looked like a massive monster. Number 3. Horned baby. A picture surfaced on the internet of a skeleton of what can only be described as a horned baby. But what made people think it was fake was not that the skull of the baby had horns, but rather that it looked like 2 babies were put together in the head region, and then they both had horns. Looking at this from the objective sense, such a thing does kind of feel fake, but that's not exactly what's going on here. You likely know of the term conjoined twins, meaning 2 siblings who through a genetic defect were quite literally born together in a physical sense. Sometimes it's through a hip connection, and other times it's a head connection. But sometimes the merging goes further, and one body can have 2 faces. These kinds of babies are more common than you might think, and when it happens, the children usually don't live very long. Some of them do survive though into adulthood, though obviously the life they live isn't easy. As for the horns in the skeletal picture, there are times when humans can be born with horns, though it is incredibly rare to happen naturally. Number 2. Monkey pig. There are many creatures in the world that have names of multiple animals in their own, but usually they're a reference to the skills of a creature, like a spider monkey. But in the case of the monkey pig, it's another story entirely, one that is very real for the record. For proof, it was born in the San Juan Martinez area of western Cuba's Pinar del Rio in 2016. When pictures went onto the internet, everyone thought it was fake until the farmers offered people a chance to meet it, and the truth was revealed. To be clear, this doesn't appear to be a genetic defect or anything of the like, but rather a true cross-species breeding between a monkey and a pig. Scientists even confirmed that this kind of crossbreeding is possible. In fact, we're already familiar with things like the monkey pig via ligers and the mule. However, unlike those creatures, the monkey pig wasn't to last. It died a month or so after its birth, but its life proved that there are still things we don't fully know about genetics and breeding and how it works in the animal kingdom. Number 1. One-eyed shark. There are an infinite amount of stories where a picture is used as proof of something, and yet it's fake, especially when it comes to animals. This connects to when a fisherman off of Baja, California, took pictures of a one-eyed shark and posted them around. People immediately started crying out that it was fake. Even when pictures of the shark were taken from another angle and seemed to be legit, no one believed it. And then, a few weeks after the first pictures were taken, another set of them featuring the one-eyed shark appeared. And this time, it appeared to have gotten some age on it. So was this truly real? After some investigations by real reporters, they found out it was indeed a one-eyed shark. But there's a reason it was this way, and it wasn't because it was a new species. Rather, it was a deformed fetus from a caught pregnant bull shark. How the deformation and albino coloring occurred wasn't clear, but it was clear that this was real and rare. One expert said that 50 of these kinds of creatures have been documented. Also, this doesn't just happen to sharks. It can happen to other animals too, depending on various circumstances. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these strange, fake creatures that turned out to be much more than people believed they were? Do you believe certain creatures like this exist? Do you know of any other fake creatures that have turned out to be real? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on World List.